Welcome back to Monday All Weekend, everybody. I feel like I haven't been on a Monday All Weekend in a minute. It's been a while.
Yeah, you
It's
haven't
for
been.
me. It's been a week or two. For you guys, it's been just 1 week. You guys were on last
Just
week.
one week. And
Yeah,
boy,
we were on
last
last
week
time.
was a long one. We got a
Oh,
fella
dude,
named
yeah.
Paul in here. We went for an hour. And because we had interaction in the chat, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's
we
always
talked
fun.
about the Golden Globe winners, big win on Oppenheimer's part. It was a good
Mhm.
time last week. Not to say that it's not fun when you're not here, but
And
I will
Wait,
say
what?
it was a good time. You missed out on a good live last week.
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
well, you mentioned the Golden Globes. The Critics' Choice
Right?
Awards happened, and a lot of the predictions that we made for the Golden Globes, a lot of those predictions came true in the Critics' Choice.
True, and maybe
Mhm.
later we'll pull them up and towards the end and take a look at them if the comments want us to, if the viewers. What's up, Liliana Valerie
Vanderlyn.
Vanderlyn? Sorry,
I feel like you
Come
just,
on.
when it
Just
comes to names, you just
say,
wing it.
"What's up,
You see a
Lily?"
no,
word and you wing it.
I give up.
Hit
I
him with
give
the
up halfway
Lily.
through. What I
Uh-huh.
do is I when it comes to names, I give up halfway through. Doesn't mean I don't love you as a
Like you
person.
like
What's up,
you
Lily?
see all the letters. You see all the letters and then you
Halfway
just,
through, my brain's like,
yeah,
Oh, is
that's
that
what
what
it
it
does.
is?
she leaves
Yeah.
immediately.
No.
No.
So look, just to tease it off, we're gonna talk a little bit about Jordan Peele's next film. I believe it's called Goat or
Yes.
The Goat or something.
Mhm.
He's producing this one, not directing it, but we got some news around that. We're also gonna be looking at some serious news in the business world of filmmaking, and that is Prime Video, Amazon Prime Video has
Uh-oh.
cut serious jobs in the department over there at Amazon. And so we're going to
They're pulling
theorize,
a
we're going to look at
Disney.
the news. We're going to look at the news. We're going to theorize about why this is happening, talk a little bit about some of the
Pulling
shows
a
they've done.
Disney.
And of
Pulling a
course,
Disney.
as always with live streams, we're going to be interacting with you throughout the show in the chat. So make sure you guys interact. And if you have any thoughts, or ideas you'd like to discuss, we will
Mhm.
address it after the portioned news for the two segments here. So definitely interact with us throughout the show. We'd love to chat with you guys. So with that said, what do you say? We jump right into it?
I mean,
Jump
we can
right
go ahead and
into
jump in.
the
Yeah.
Jordan, the Mr. Peel.
Yeah,
Yes.
we might, before we jump in, we're experimenting with backgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if the backgrounds change from week to week, just know we're kind of experimenting with some different ones and trying to have fun with it, you know?
Yeah. We got
You
some
guys a
AI
little bit
generated
more
ones here.
visual stimulation, yeah.
Yeah. Visual
Mm.
stimuli. And this is AI generated art, I believe. Correct,
Yeah.
Wyatt?
Yeah, just some, like,
Can you pull this in?
explosions, some stuff that I
Just
was playing with.
color explosions.
Mhm.
It's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, so if you guys want to see a specific background, let us know. We might generate it. Getting into Jordan Peele's next film, Marlon Way. Go ahead and read
Wayans.
this, Wyatt. This is your
Marlon
American.
Wayans, starring GOAT for Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw, that's his studio,
Hmm.
at Universal.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know Marlon Wayans, he's a comedian, actor,
Yeah.
part of the Wayans brothers. Um, they've been acting together, for a long time, and a lot of
I
people
happen
are
to know.
familiar.
Are they from Atlanta?
Uh, possibly,
Possibly.
Possibly.
Okay.
possibly.
We're gonna
I don't
say they
know.
are, even if they aren't.
I don't know. It's possible.
Okay.
Um, but White Chicks is definitely
Yep.
Yeah.
one of the big ones that people would probably recognize Marlon from. Um, but announcing that he is going to be the star of this GOAT movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Directed by Justin Tipping as well, which
mhm.
is let me look at some of Justin Tipping's
Not a
credits.
lot of credits
Yeah.
for this
Yeah.
guy.
So Jordan's not directing; he's
No.
producing the film.
Hmm.
Is what he's doing.
So some
Yeah,
of the
but
directing
it's still
credits.
under his studio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's producing it along with 3 others in his studio. I think we're gonna see more of that coming from Jordan. He'll probably every blue moon, he'll do his own directing, but I think he's really trying to expand the black cinema a little bit,
Hmm.
and he's
Well,
kind
Yeah,
of the only one.
get some more directors in there.
Yeah. definitely.
more actors, more credits, all that
I'm
sort
not
of stuff.
seeing anything that this fellow has directed that I've recognized.
That's not like a TV series episode or something.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of this
But
stuff.
you gotta
Dear
break
White People, I've heard
into
of that.
yeah, you gotta break into movies. You gotta break into movies at some point. And if Jordan Peele's looking at this director and thinking he could be a good choice for a kind of thriller, scary movie
Mhm, mhm.
for my studio, then hey, that's cool. I mean, we see a lot of people like M. Night Shyamalan who
Right.
just direct all of their films.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's cool to see Jordan Peele have his own studio and not be the director in
Yeah. Well,
every movie.
if you look at it, I mean, Get Out, even though it was a fantastic film, you can kind of tell it's very low budget, kind of
Mhm.
indie type film.
Yeah,
And then as his films
stretching his wings.
progressed, yeah, they got more and more budget to them because they
Mhm.
made money from the last film. And
Yeah.
so now
Yeah.
with Get Out, he probably has made like a bunch of money. And
Mhm.
so he's able to go out and fund other people's projects with his,
Yeah.
producing stuff. So,
And let's just appreciate really quick that Jordan Peele's vision. He
Mm.
had to break out
yeah.
of the comedy stereotype as an
Oh, yeah.
actor, you know what I mean? And he went from comedy acting to directing horror thriller, you know? And he's never done that before. He just took the world by storm,
What?
and that's a hard thing to
Well,
do.
you know that Marlon Wayans is a comedic actor,
So
and
we're
so
seeing a little parallels.
moving into sort of a thriller type movie. Jordan Peele's movies always have had a little bit of a comedic element to them.
A little bit.
They mentioned that in the article, or one of the articles that I saw, were talking about how he's good at mixing in some of those light moments, some of those
Right.
funny moments into these kind of horrifying movies. And it's getting the right kind of actor to play that role, somebody who can play scared, serious, and
Yeah.
funny
think
at times.
Do you think they're friends from back in what did Jordan and uh Key and Peele basically? They met at what, Mad TV? Is that correct?
I'm not sure if it was Mad. I know their show was on Comedy Central.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
a lot of these guys
No.
have been in the
Yeah,
in
they were like
Hollywood
writers.
space.
I don't know specifically if it was Mad TV. Maybe if you know, put it in the comments.
Mm.
But they met on like, most of the comedians out there in Hollywood, they came from like SNL, like,
Yeah.
your Adam Sandler, your,
Mhm.
that
Ferrell.
group of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jordan and why am I basing Key and Peele?
Keegan-Michael Key.
Michael Key.
Keegan Michael Key. Thank you. They met on some. It wasn't SNL. They didn't come from SNL. I think it was like Mad TV or something.
Mhm.
And they were
Perhaps.
writers, and then they met and they did the comedy thing. So
Yeah, the
I'm curious if that's where he met this guy.
Yeah, so
Could be.
why are there so many thriller movies coming out these days? It's not real life
is
scary
not
enough.
real life scary.
I mean, that's true. It is.
I
And
mean,
especially when you get in the world of politics, it is freaking scary
yeah,
out there. But
it's
I don't know. I was just thinking about this the other day. So I have a good friend. I worked on a couple
Mhm.
short films and indie stuff in the past. His name's Dustin. He has a passion for making horror films.
Horror.
And
The indie
I think
market is
it's just
saturated with the horror.
well, there's two big reasons. One, it's easier as a
Mhm.
production goes. It's cheaper, and you
Mhm.
could still make a pretty decent film. Like the end result is still pretty good,
yeah.
as long as it has some scary or thrilling moments. And two,
Mhm.
it's just in the DNA of some people. Some people just that's why they did what was that? There was a streaming service called like Scream? No. Like Slashed? I don't know. There's a streaming service that starts with
Mm.
S that's just horror films.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it's a huge market for it, and the fact that it's affordable, you can do it pretty easily, make
Yeah.
a pretty decent film on a small budget.
And people like the scares. People like
Right.
the scares. There's some people that
I like a quick jump
exclusively
scare.
there's some people that exclusively like horror movies. That's
Right.
their genre.
Speaking of scares, and I don't mean to go off topic, but you watched Voyage of the
Demeter.
Demeter?
Mhm.
over the weekend. We
Yeah.
didn't talk about that at all, really.
Yeah.
Here and there, but we never watched it. What did you think of it?
Yeah, brief review, kind of lackluster in my opinion.
Yeah.
Lots they had lots of potential for story elements, lots of potential for some good scares and things.
Mhm.
Um and but they really, I felt like, wasted a lot of those
Wasted.
opportunities.
That's
A lot of they had some good effects, they had some
mhm.
good moments, but I feel like they wasted a lot of potential on that one.
That's a
It's
problem.
yeah, it's sad because I was personally looking forward to it of like,
Mhm.
um, vampire on a boat. You never see that.
Yeah.
It was like pirate or sailor meets vampire,
Right.
and it
Mhm.
kind of was like, "We've never seen this before. This is unique. I would like this to work."
Yeah.
And here or there, I popped in when you're watching it. I didn't watch the
Mhm.
whole thing with you. Of what I saw, I liked, but I get what you mean by it was a lost.
Yeah, like, visually, there wasn't really
Yeah.
a big issue with it, but a lot of their, scary moments were similar. They
Mhm.
really went hard with vampire bites dude on the neck,
Mhm.
Yeah.
They did that a lot. There was one moment where he really, like, just ripped somebody's neck out, and
Mhm.
it was really good, but
Uh, this is a good question. We've actually
Mm,
talked about this before. Thriller films, it may be cheap to make a thriller film, but do they get enough return revenue to make up for it? I would challenge you to do this. Okay, so
Mhm.
go look at the budget and the global box office on IMDb for films like
Yeah.
anything in the Conjuring universe,
yeah.
the
Like
new
Screaming Megan.
Smile, Megan. Go look at these box offices compared to their budget, and you'd be like, "Oh, I see." Like we can have a 15 million. They may only make $30 million, but they only spent like 15, or they only
Mhm.
spent like 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when we're talking about in a world where they're making big, 80 to $200 million films, and it's a big ask to make that money back as far as
Yeah.
theatrical releases. Thriller and horror films kind of
Yeah.
almost always make their money back, even
Yeah.
in big or mediocre ways, but they almost always make their money back, and that's why studios greenlight them. Like the only genre that you don't see prequels, sequels, and remakes is horror films usually.
You see a lot of prequels,
Yeah.
sequels, and
I
remakes in
understand
horror
that, but I'm
movies.
saying I'm saying there's always new ideas and always fresh stories in
There's
the horror
always
film
new
genre.
stuff coming out,
There is.
but even the prequel, sequels, and remakes almost always tend to make money,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is
Yeah.
pretty wild. So, this movie, GOAT, there's not too much about it, like what the movie's about, but
Mhm.
I'm gonna make an assumption that it could be sports related. I think that
Yeah.
would be cool.
Sports.
This article,
Yeah.
I think, actually touches on it. So, um,
That's interesting.
Marlon Wayne is ready to look at the scary side of perfection. The actor and comedian will star as an all-time great athlete in
Cool.
GOAT.
Greatest of
Um,
all time is what GOAT means,
yeah,
for those who are
Yeah.
curious.
at psychological horror films. So it has to do something with, let's see, it has to do something with, I think, an athlete being mentored
Mm.
by someone else, which lends itself well to kind of like a weird
Mm,
psychological
Well, yeah,
thriller thing.
okay.
if you just sort of take it at face value, you call it GOAT, greatest of all time. You have
Yeah,
an athlete who maybe was the greatest of all time or wants to be the greatest, and
right.
so they start coaching with somebody who is offers coaching, and then you know my word association just goes to, like, you know, Satan, because he's represented by,
The goat.
the goat in a lot
Yeah.
of,
It's a
uh
really good horror story,
Title?
latching point, I guess. You know
mhm.
what I
Mhm.
mean? Is GOAT. That's true because almost all symbolic symbolism.
Symbolism. Mhm.
I got there.
Yeah.
Um, does revolve around a goat, which is very. I think there was a no. There was a film a few years back called, I think, The Witch or whatever,
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
and it had a goat on the front cover. But I always thought, whenever I saw it, I thought goat or the goat or whatever. But I think it's The Witch.
Yeah.
Never mind. I was
It
wrong.
would be it's interesting. We don't see a lot of overlap between horror, thriller, and sports. We see lots of overlap between horror and other genres: action and adventure, drama, comedy,
Survival.
survival, just sometimes even musical. But it's very
Sweeney Todd.
rare. Yeah, it's very rare that you get the horror thriller
Sports, yeah.
genre in
Sports.
sports.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
That's I think what makes Jordan Peele so unique is he's willing to take this genre that he has a passion about
Mhm.
and create primarily black driven films that aren't necessarily too preachy but are fun
Mhm.
and thrilling and so outside of the box.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, a good space for black storytelling is in a lot of sports. A lot of sports are
Mhm.
led by a lot of black athletes,
right?
and so it's a good space to have a lot of actors and everything in there.
Did
True.
did Jordan didn't write the script for this.
I don't
Someone
know.
else wrote the script,
Let me
and
check.
he just is producing it
I don't
It's
know that there's
possible.
too many credits on this.
on
Jordan
this.
Peele's
We have do we have the IMDb? Is there
yeah.
any
Yeah,
on there
I'm
yet?
looking through it. So Jordan Peele's company, Monkey Paw, produces a couple things. They recently, not long ago, produced a film called Candyman, which actually was directed by the same woman who directed the Marvels that flopped.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But it was kind of this. It was a little bit more preachy as far as the story itself.
Hmm.
But let's see. I'm looking for writing credits. So writing credits. It seems like Zach Akers and Skip Bronke.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so just produced by Jordan Peele. I think this is taking more of a uh this is the type of film I'd like to see done. And I like these people's script. They probably wrote the script to pitch to Jordan Peele,
Hmm.
Jordan
honestly.
Peele, yeah.
Um, and then he's running with it and getting his director and
Well,
team and
I mean,
everything.
what I definitely don't want to see is for Jordan Peele's production company to release a lot of kind of bad horror movies
Mhm.
in between his directorial movies, right?
Escapades, yeah.
His movies, so that you have like a bunch of these kind of
Mediocre
meh,
films.
mediocre films under the same banner, and then he drops one that's really great.
Yeah.
So,
Because remember, Jordan Peele is like it's him and Chris Nolan that are in the IMAX camera world.
mhm, yeah.
It's just Jordan Peele and Chris Nolan that are in this really cinematic, artsy fartsy
Mhm.
filmmaking production. And because he's an artist, he's innovative, which you wouldn't have known that from just watching Key and Peele. You would have seen him as like a fantastic comedic genius.
Mhm.
But you
But
wouldn't
you know what?
necessarily see him as like a film artist,
I
you know what I
almost
mean?
wonder if you go back and look at some of those Key Peele sketches, like
It might have shined through a little bit.
I'm sure some of that cinematography, some of that camera work,
Might have been
some of those
inspired or
directing choices,
right, right. He might have been like, "How about we do this different? Like, let's do this
Yeah.
instead." You know what I mean?
and
Um,
and there's some of those that are like horror
mhm.
shorts, basically, the comedic horror shorts,
Yeah.
that are scary, that actually are.
Let's see, they have the Exorcist one.
Yeah.
They have the vampire licky one.
Mhm.
Um,
Dude,
they have the Walking Dead one, right?
even the one with the two ladies who are talking about like the puppies, and then they're like they buy the puppy after talking about they want to like peel its face off and throw it like a frisbee and stuff. And then they're walking out of this field and it pans out and there's just graves everywhere. That's classic horror cinematography
Right,
right
right,
there.
right. Yeah, I'm sure his artistry for the horror genre definitely shown through, especially on certain
Mhm.
sketches for Key and Peele.
Mhm.
But I'm glad that he got out of it. I'm glad that he's doing what he's producing a motion picture studio, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you want to do, what you want to, and he might dip his toes back into the comedy as time goes on. He might even make a comedy, heavily comedic horror film in the
Don't
future.
you think? Or he'll
Absolutely.
just go full
Yeah.
comedy. You think he would just go full comedy again?
It would be cool if he did. I don't know
Mhm.
that that's where his passion is these days. He might want to produce more of
Yeah.
those unique horror movies. But yeah, he might.
I
We'll
don't know.
see.
I think Jordan Peele is smart enough, and as far as a businessman, and then also as an artist, to know that what you were talking about earlier, Lily, about if horror movies are worth it. I think a
Mhm.
Jordan Peele horror film is one of the top horror films that can be created right now, and honestly, the genre that does not have good returns is the comedy right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Comedy films, just for the sake of comedy, are not having great returns as far
Right.
as their box office numbers compared to how much it costs. So, um, they're almost the thing you don't want to invest in, and he might be aware of that. He might be like, I love comedy and I love horror, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do kind of
Maybe
this
both or
horror forward
it's comedy.
with some comedy in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, if he keeps dropping stuff like Nope, which
Really.
I really enjoyed,
Mhm.
and
Us.
thoroughly was scary.
Yeah.
Even though some of the bits were maybe a tad predictable, but the stuff with the chimpanzee,
Mhm.
um,
Oh, yeah.
Haunting, dude.
that's haunting, and that's some like real stuff.
That was
And
the side story, right?
yeah,
The side story.
that was a side story, and that was probably some of the scariest stuff in the whole movie.
Yeah.
And he's good at even if it's not, like, all around scary, like, just doing the one jump scare or, like, the one moment of the alien in the barn, even though it ended up not being an alien, spoiler
Yeah.
alert,
Hey.
was super scary.
Yeah, that scene is still when was the last time I watched it? Probably around earlier last year sometime,
Yeah.
but I watched it and I was like, "Man, that's still a genuinely scary scene,
Right.
whether you know what's about to happen or not." It's just um, good film work,
Yeah.
good camera setup on that to there's this art of revealing the monster
Mm,
that, I was really noticing, in Voyage of the Demeter that they didn't utilize.
yeah.
Revealing the monster is, uh, it's
Tricky.
an art. It's tricky. It's an art in itself, and making it because we all know, especially if there is a monster,
Mhm.
like a physical one, not necessarily a ghost or something, or an alien or something. The revealing it over time until you get that penultimate moment where you see most of the monster.
Yeah.
That's important. Super 8 did it really well.
Yeah.
Um,
Jaws, the classic,
Jaws
did it
did a
well.
great, even Signs, I
Mhm.
think, did it
Signs
pretty
was
good.
brilliant because it never even fully revealed it. It was still shaded in silhouette and out of focus, you know what I
They
mean?
now they show it
They do it
pretty
at
well
the
at the
end.
end.
Sort of, but it's
They show a
silhouetted.
full body kinda.
No, they
Look,
show it.
I think Signs probably really love Signs. I think Signs and The Village, those are a couple of my favorite M. Night Shyamalan films and a
Mhm,
couple of my favorite
Mm,
thriller stories. Uh, but yeah, I think it is, you're right, it's tricky. There's an art to it, and if you do it wrong, it can ruin the whole film.
mhm.
If you
Or
do it wrong.
at
yeah,
least it can make it, uh,
A bummer.
feel less heavy, less weight to it when you're watching the monster in
Mhm.
broad daylight essentially try to be
Yeah.
scary.
mm,
And I
It's
think
a different kind of work to do that, to reveal the monster early,
yeah.
show it a lot, and still make it scary.
And in the Conjuring universe, I really like a couple of the Conjurings. Annabelle was done pretty well. I
Mm,
think Annabelle Creation is the best, but The Nun, both part 1 and part 2, um, neither of them did this well. They showed the nun early, that frightening image of the scary face with the nun outfit. It became dull because they showed it early on and they showed it too long and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the nuns didn't do a good job in the Conjuring
Uh,
universe, but
Who do you think perfected this? Do you think like, it was ultimately maybe, like, Steven Spielberg with Jaws? Who
well,
perfected
Jaws was an accident because they didn't have a very big budget and they didn't have the CGI
I think
abilities and
that's
stuff.
where
Well,
it came
yeah,
from.
but
I think
but
that's where it
he
came from actually is
because of that, he had to create his own he had to make something that he didn't have, and he kind of made "Oh, is he actually there or no, you don't get to really see him," and that's what made it scary.
so the early horror movies, especially with monsters and creatures, kind of had to perfect the art because their practical effects and their costumes and
Yeah.
everything were great. Good example is Alien. Uh,
Mhm.
Alien, they use the alien itself to great effect, showing very little of it, but enough to scare the crap out of you.
Right.
Uh, I
Yeah.
mean, there's still that one shot that's
Cheesy.
corny where it comes out of
Yeah.
it comes out of the dark like this, right? With both hands out. It's
Right.
awesome.
But
Uh,
but they got up close and personal with the chest
yeah,
bursters because they
mhm,
knew that was gonna be horrifying, and they needed to
yeah,
set another tone for the film
and
for
Yeah.
sure.
showing the face hugger and the chest bursters, really
Ooh, ooh,
gave
right now I'm
weight.
getting creeped out.
It really gave weight to what the thing was,
Exactly.
and the fact that it was so now something is so big and we
Yeah.
don't know where it is.
Right. And it could do this to anybody. It could
Mhm.
just take you apart.
Ugh.
So,
Um, so with all that, let's move on to the next bit, but just wanna remind everyone that before we move on, if you're watching live,
mhm,
please interact with us in the chat like Lily has done so far, and yeah, ask questions, give your own input.
we
We're
got
interested to
questions. Ask
we're
us questions.
live.
Yeah.
We're live and not just uploading a video because we want to interact with you.
Here's the
Yes.
fun thing about the
Yeah.
chat is you can ask us questions that,
We're not
I mean,
really talking about.
people may not know the answers to, and we'll do our best.
There are no rules at this point, no
What do you
rules.
think? What
No.
do you think a chupacabra is?
I don't know.
Shoo.
We will, attempt to give you an answer.
All right, Amazon Prime Video, big news in the film
Oh
industry,
yeah.
business world. Hundreds
Hmm.
of workers
Yeah.
lose jobs at Amazon Prime Video, MGM Studios, and Twitch. Now, Twitch has been failing for years, right?
Twitch has been Twitch has been I mean it was reported recently that they've been working at a loss for
Uh-huh.
a
Yeah.
long time, but also YouTube has worked at a loss for a long time as well, and has done a pretty good job
Right.
managing to have a platform.
Mhm.
So
Are we all brothers?
we are
Yes.
not.
Oh, we're
And
not?
I mean, in
so
spirit, yes, but
Wyatt, he is not.
no.
Mm,
Josh and I are,
unfortunately.
but
Mhm.
Wyatt is not our brother. But we have
You,
known each other our whole lives, if that's
yeah, you
interesting to
guys, you guys are the wise in wise works. I'm just the
Yeah.
why. I'm just the why.
and why it works.
Why it works. That's
Yeah.
funny.
All right, so let's keep rolling on here. So here's a quote um, by who is it? Let's see, Mike Hopkins, Senior Vice President of Prime Video.
Video.
Um, he said, "We've identified opportunities to reduce or discontinue investments in certain areas while increasing our revenue and focus on content and product initiatives that deliver the most impact." So that's business speak for saying some stuff wasn't working and we had to stop.
Yeah. Well,
And some stuff does kind of work, so we're just gonna keep doing that. You know what I mean?
I
And we
mean,
don't need as many employees for this
a
stuff.
lot of their Amazon Prime original stuff, it's really like hit or miss. Some of it people really like. People
Okay, so
really
Reacher, everyone's
like
really
Reacher.
digging Reacher. People
Yeah.
have dug The
Yeah.
Boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The
Um,
Boys.
People like Invincible.
Jack Ryan is pretty good. I've enjoyed Jack Ryan. It's a little tedious at this
Mhm.
point. I feel like at this point with multiple seasons, they're just making up stories. But
Yeah.
initially, it was pretty fun with John Krasinski. But there's not enough originals through Prime Video for it to be. And honestly, their biggest heavy hitters are the worst part, the worst stuff.
But I think their
So
biggest thing that's, like, marginally successfully is The Boys.
right,
That's their biggest thing. It's I think probably the thing with the biggest budget that it has hit the hardest. Um, but they've produced what,
Rings of Power, Wheel of Time.
I mean,
Power,
yeah.
Wheel of Time. These are big budget TV shows.
That stunk and no
Yeah,
fans of these IPs liked.
Mhm.
Let's be honest. The
I
people that
mean,
liked them are not fans of
Not
those
fans.
IPs.
No.
they're trying to do like it does seem like they're doing kind of a Disney thing right now, or at least they're right behind Disney, maybe. But they're trying to do the original movie things. You know, we got Roadhouse coming out, and I mean, we've been talking about that of Jake Gyllenhaal wanting it to go to theaters, and they're not going to put it in theaters. They're going to put it on the platform and all that
Yeah.
other stuff.
And I think we've talked about this for a while, and there's a lot of people that have talked about this. Is Amazon Prime wants to be cool, all right?
Mhm.
And they are first and foremost e-commerce. That's what they've done the best. That's why they're so successful. That's what I mean. I've listened to a recent podcast that Jeff Bezos um, did with Lex Friedman, and it was very interesting. I actually respect Jeff Bezos a lot after hearing that conversation. But he was he's primarily focused on the user and helping the human race move forward, right? And utilizing what people did before him to stand on their shoulders to do something great so that the next generation can stand on his shoulders to do something great. And he's provided a lot of resources with that. As the company has grown, there's been a lot of people at Amazon that like, oh, we have all this money, we can dabble in everything. We can dabble in tech, we can dabble in the
Mhm.
film industry. And the film
Mhm.
industry is where you get popularity and fame and
Yeah.
where you become the cool kids on the block, and you can go to the award shows and uh TMZ starts talking about you. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And that's what they
Even
wanted, but they're not a movie company. They
even
just
jumping into the streaming space and the gaming space with Twitch,
right.
Yeah.
it seems like again, it's just sort of a popularity thing for them. They just want to make they want to make money off of the video game streamers, and they want to make money off of the people watching. They don't care too much about
Yeah.
the games. They don't care about the
Right.
games. They don't care about the gamers and the players and the streamers, the people trying to not just make a living, but make uh, a community.
Right. And I think that's and the reason for that, and this is all theories, of course, but it can be obvious if you just think about it, is when they jumped in quick and they made originals fast, right?
Mhm.
In my opinion, the best thing that Amazon is for is housing the digital library, the streaming library for any movie or any TV show. So if no
Yeah.
streamer has it, you can at least rent it or buy it from Amazon.
From
Mhm.
Amazon.
I
Yeah.
think that's a powerful position to hold, but then they went and said, "Oh, we also want to create our own content." And since they're the new kids on the block, since they don't have a ton of respect or knowledge about, taking a piece of work like J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and hiring people and
That can
experts
actually do
in
it.
to actually respect it, they just hired people with a resume or gaining popularity in the industry that right now the industry's popularity is how woke are you? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And they just hired them because they're like, oh, they come with a lot of good recommendations. And they didn't really vet
Yeah.
it because they don't have experience in this. You need creatives. Look, Peter Jackson is not the only person who made Lord of the Rings movies great. Just watch the
Mhm.
behind the scenes. You will see face after face after
Yeah.
face that were high executive level producers and high writers that were not high writers, but like high performing writers that are geniuses when it comes to Tolkien and when it comes to translating and respecting bodies of work into film.
Mhm.
And they Amazon Prime doesn't have that, and they didn't hire that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting though that um, their book portion of Amazon isn't mentioned. Audible
Oh,
or
Which
yeah.
actually
Kindle.
I have heard some news. I think there's some cuts over at Audible
Is
as
there
well.
really?
Oh, you
Oh,
Yeah.
think?
I didn't hear that.
There's a
Um,
lot of cuts at Amazon in the
Audible
entertainment side of the departments.
Audible has kind of cornered the market
Oh, yeah.
with writers, indie writers, even mainstream writers. It just they grabbed that audiobook and ebook experience and market really early and very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's why lots of big names are trying to go and um, do their own stuff, make their own stuff
Mhm.
on Kickstarter, get stuff self-published
Mhm.
because we need other options than Audible. And the
Right.
the issue is with these companies like Amazon, these big conglomerates, they want to corner the market with every other aspect. They want to corner it with movies and TV, and with gaming and with Twitch. Honestly, before YouTube got their live streaming kind of streamlined,
Yeah.
Twitch was pretty
The
much
number
number
one
one.
guy. Yeah.
But now there's all sorts of other options.
There are tons of streamers that went from Twitch to
Mhm.
YouTube. Tons,
Yeah.
because they're like,
There's people
"Hey,
streaming on Rumble. There's
AdSense."
people streaming on, what's that other one that's popular now?
Um,
Rumble and YouTube.
no, no. I I just lost it. I don't know.
OnlyFans.
There's another one
Yes.
that people are streaming on. Um, but
OnlyFans is popular. It's getting more and more less porn these days.
But that's good.
Mm.
It's but yeah, there's plenty of other places to stream. And I think a lot of people I'm glad to see some of my favorite streamers are sort of dual streaming. They're
Mhm.
streaming on Twitch and they're streaming on YouTube because they're establishing their audience they've established their audience in Twitch, but they're establishing it on YouTube as well, so
Right.
that when they go live on YouTube, people will tune in. That way, if Twitch implodes, which is absolutely possible,
I think it will.
um,
The year over
YouTube,
year is just bad news for Twitch.
yeah, YouTube is still there.
YouTube is always gonna be here, and as much as it's a
YouTube is
problem,
yeah.
well, the only thing that would kill YouTube completely is that if they take this censoring thing to the next level. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Mhm.
It's already pretty bad when it comes to censoring, but it can be explained away. If you think about it logically, there are some cases that aren't logical, but for the
mhm,
most cases, for most creators, the censoring is less so not allowing you to upload and more so of saying like, hey, you're not allowed to earn as much revenue on this because ad proprietors or ad companies don't want their brand associated with people that talk about example like the wars going on in the world. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And so you can get
Politics.
politics and stuff. And so that's what YouTube currently censors. But if they take it to the next level where they just say, hey, you're not allowed to do this at all, then it'll
Mhm.
be a problem.
Yeah.
Then YouTube's at risk, but that we're
Mhm,
not currently there. Um,
I'm just curious because we didn't really touch on it since we're talking about the entertainment space with Amazon. They own Freevee, don't they?
yeah, Amazon
yeah, I
owns
think
Freevee.
so.
Yep.
They own Freevee, and I don't ever watch anything on Freevee. I
Well, I
mean,
just watched Lost on Freevee because
if
it's on
I'm gonna
Hulu. It's on Hulu and Freevee, and Freevee has less ads than Hulu does, so I watched it on
Aha, there
Freevee.
you go.
ah, I
Yeah,
if I'm gonna watch a free service, it's gonna be like Tubi.
I mean,
yeah,
Freevee's good
it's
See, I
too. I mean,
never watch any freebies.
it's very similar to Tubi, honestly.
It is
It has
very
its own
similar.
catalog.
they all kind of blend together for me. Anything with ads blends together for me. Although everybody's talked about this for a long time, that the streaming the big streaming boom of I would say 2019 to now, um it happened so quick, and everybody was like, well, how do we make money? How do we make money? We have to be
Yeah.
streaming, but how do we make money?
Yeah.
And now it's like we're watching TV,
Right. But that's a
cable.
really good question. We have to be streaming, but how do we make money? And
Hmm.
that is what every single streaming platform is struggling with right now.
And that's
Because
what
we are
every
a decade
studio is
in.
trying to figure out.
Yeah, we are a decade in to Netflix, being the
Oh, yeah.
startup company for entertainment,
Well,
and
way more than a decade, but yeah.
they've cash flowed all of their original content. Now the rest of the entertainment industry is like, we need to stream, and now they have to ask that question: how we
How do
we
we
need to
do it?
stream, but how do we make money?
Right.
The current Hollywood system's too expensive for streaming. That's the
Hmm.
problem. It's
Well,
too
and then
expensive
here's
for
the other
streaming.
thing is that um, with reporting their numbers, that was a big thing um, with the writer's strike and the actors strike and everything was reporting the numbers
Right.
of the TV shows and of the movies. It's so much different with streaming than it was with cable, because you look at the numbers and it's all there on cable. You switch
Right.
one channel, you switch to another channel, but the channel that has the show that you're watching, everybody's turning to that channel.
Sort of. Yeah.
Everybody kind of has to turn to that channel. And so
Yeah.
the numbers are exponentially larger than if you drop a TV show on HBO. Well, there's going to be tons and tons of people who are watching tons and tons of other things.
Mhm.
So the numbers I feel like are kind of uh less because there's so many other options.
Well, they're under lock
Yeah.
and key for a reason, because I found
Mhm.
out this week that I heard on a podcast some comedians talking about their Netflix numbers, and that
Mm.
they are not given their own comedy special Netflix numbers. They do not know how much your special, how much all they say is like, "It's really good," or "It's kind of the same as last time." You know what I mean? They don't give
Yeah.
you specifics. So
Mm,
even Netflix does not release their numbers. But with the new strike, these
yeah.
actors and people are getting paid based on the numbers. So
Mhm.
they have to kind of be a little bit more upfront or in the ballpark of what's real, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see more of that, and we know Amazon Prime's notorious for
For
lying
fudging
about their
numbers.
numbers.
They like
That's
Yeah.
some fudge
yeah,
up in there, some
Mhm.
chocolate fudge.
it's their favorite dessert. Now,
Yeah.
uh, there is one good yeah, and that kinda leads me to one good thing that this reveals about Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
They're not too big to fail. And what I
Mhm.
mean by, for a long time, we were thinking Amazon Prime is kind of creating trash and funding it through e-commerce. But
Mhm.
what we're seeing with this is that the way the business is set up, which makes sense because any good business is set up this way, but we just didn't know until now for sure necessarily. I'm sure some people knew, but the common person didn't know that there's money allocated to Prime Video that, Amazon Prime Shipping or Amazon Prime AWS does not share with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if they
Yeah.
did, they might just bail them out,
Mhm. But
but
they're
they're not.
they're not going to now, because it's like, okay, this is costing a lot of money.
Mhm.
Right.
Maybe we need to reallocate funds. Maybe we need to move people around. You're seeing it happen with Disney too. I think Disney's been making these movies based on, kind of the income streams that they've had, be it toys or parks or, all these previous IPs.
Right.
Um, and they've made enough content now that they're looking at it and they're being like, we might need to restructure if we want to keep making money.
Do you
Yeah.
think do you think
Definitely.
that Amazon Prime Video, the video side of things, not the shipping or anything,
Mhm.
could get bought out by a different company or somebody, and
Yeah.
they just
Amazon
keep
is still too big of a parent company to
Yeah.
pay to
they
to
keep the
make.
Amazon, shipping stuff, but the video side of things gets bought off.
No, they're
Could
more
they
likely to sell
could they s
Twitch than Amazon Prime
Yeah,
Video.
Could they sell their studio? Absolutely, if they
Yeah.
wanted to. Um, but yeah, more than likely, I think they would be more inclined to sell Twitch, and make a few bucks off of that if they could. I don't even know that if they sold Twitch and another company started running it, I think people would maybe try it for a while.
Just to see how
Um,
the other company does.
yeah, hoping that maybe the other company will actually put some time and effort into enforcing policies,
Right.
not
Yeah.
letting people basically stream, porn and
Mhm.
let them get away with it. I mean, they'll ban streamers for an accident and never let them back on the platform. But somebody shows a nipple, which is super against TOS, or is doing some other lewd thing on camera live in front of um, all ages, and they'll let them back on the platform in a week,
Yeah.
especially if it's mostly women.
Of course, 'cause a man showing his nipples
Mhm.
not that
Yeah.
egregious.
They're far
It's either
too they're
gross or
far too
funny.
lenient with enforcing their terms of service
Yeah.
Right.
than they should be, and there's lots of other issues that are going on at Twitch. So I don't know that people would jump ship immediately, but I
I'm jumping ship.
if they didn't if they didn't do well, they would. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it would last.
So I think the big
What's the
Mm,
big
question that
question?
streamers may even outside of Netflix, because Netflix knows how to run Netflix, and even though they're having subscriber loss,
mhm,
Netflix will continue to run Netflix the way it has. So
mhm.
it's perfectly comfortable with saying we're producing less shows because we have less subscribers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about Netflix, and also their numbers are still huge compared to everybody else.
Mhm,
Um, but the big question that all the other streamers have to ask, from Peacock to Max to Hulu to Disney
Mm.
Plus to Amazon Prime Video, is how do we stream and how do we make money?
mhm.
Yeah.
And we're going to see this play out probably for a few years because there's not a solid answer yet.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Because the
Run
streaming
ads. It's like run ads. That's
run ads,
basically it.
the only ones that successfully make a living off running ads are YouTube.
Mhm.
And because creators create the
yeah.
content, not YouTube. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's going to be really hard to figure this out unless you're starting at the bottom and you work up with all this in mind, like Netflix had. Um, so we'll see. I don't think there's going to be any serious competition for Netflix for a while, especially seeing the bottom falling out of a lot of these streaming studios.
Yeah. Well, Netflix needs to produce
Good
some good
stuff.
stuff.
Hey,
They've
Arcane is
dropped a lot
coming
of
out at the end of the
trash.
year.
Dude, yeah.
Ooh,
Did you
Arcane
watch that
season 2.
teaser?
I
Ooh,
saw it.
Arcane.
Arcane season 2
yeah.
is coming out at the end of this year. I've been waiting for this for 2.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really excited for Arcane
Oh,
season 2.
you
Awesome.
know, Avatar's coming out in February.
Right.
Live action. Yeah.
Live action Avatar. We'll see if it's worth a dang.
Mhm.
Mm.
It looks okay from the trailer. It looks better than M. Night Shyamalan's for sure.
It
Yeah.
definitely does. We'll see what they do. Let us know what you guys think. We thank everybody who dropped in during the
Yeah.
live.
Mhm.
Check us out once this becomes a VOD. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think about these topics, about Amazon, about Jordan Peele's production company. And we will see you guys in the next Monday All Weekend.